Hey everyone, Andy Hall with Simply Secular Dave for Vancouver.
Woohoo!
Dave's here for 10 minutes. If disappointed I missed the first show, hey, that's okay, Jesse Beer. I admire people who can sleep in late. That's what I do. My brain just doesn't allow me to do that anymore. Sleeping in late does not happen. I was up I think at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was able to convince my brain to go back to sleep until 6:30. And I feel pretty happy about that.
I went to bed pretty early last night, but I woke up an hour before my alarm went off. So, I got up, I made coffee before your show for the first time in a long time.
Good for you.
Your coffee is actually equally good. Your show is equally good, whether you have coffee in you or not.
I've tried doing the show before without drinking coffee. And I do most of the show, and I do most of the time I drink coffee, and I find that I entertain myself more when I have a second cup of coffee in me. I'm not going to lie to you.
That is definitely a fair criticism.
Am I more coherent? Do I make more sense with a second cup of coffee in me? Maybe not. But I do entertain myself more with a second cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the most important metric to me, at least.
Yeah, I've had those times where like you go out to a soccer game and afterwards everybody sits down and they're all drinking and you're all having a good time and you're all enjoying yourselves, and then halfway through the season, you have something to do, like you're going to a funeral afterwards or whatever. And so you shouldn't be drinking, and you hang around with all your friends and you have the same experience, only sober. And you think to yourself, oh my God, we are not tipping this waitress enough. That poor woman.
It's interesting that you should say that. The last time I did Atheist Drinking Out Loud last Saturday, we had Barry Purcell on, and he wasn't drinking, and he was our designated thinker for the episode. And I think that maybe in a group of people drinking, it's good to have someone sober just to keep everyone as fact checkers or as referees, or I guess when you're out to be in control of the tip.
Yeah, the whole fact checker thing scares me a little, but yeah, I get your point. I tend to be one of those people who, if I don't know the answer and somebody asks me a question, I will invent an answer.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think it's from being traumatized by being a blogger for so long. I've gotten used to saying, well, I think, or it makes sense that, you do these ancient alien weasel words and phrases that you hear quite a bit on the show.
The ghost trackers and ancient aliens, this might have actually happened.
Right. This might have happened. So it had to have happened.
Despite lacking any confirmation of this event, we have a witness.
Right. Or I love this. Some scientists say.
Yeah. Or when they throw out the various scienticians have experienced this in the lab.
Scienticians, right? We're just going to make up words now. We're just going to make up words. Well, what about the science? Yeah, you don't really hear about the scientific consensus, do you, on ancient aliens? It's always about the cherry picking the most lunatic of scientists or scholars.
Oh, yeah. I'm not exactly sure what, scholar. How many books do you need to read to be a scholar?
How many YouTube videos?
Okay, I've heard. Yeah.
There should be a degree, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, Dave and chat, that there should be a special degree for people who log in a certain amount of hours on YouTube watching videos, so you could be an official YouTube scholar.
They would probably call it virologist, and it would probably piss off all the virologists.
Oh, that would be beautiful. Conspiracyologist, maybe. I like the virologist. I do like that. That would piss off a lot of legitimate professionals out there.
Yeah. So hey, I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
because I wrote in the chat there that I'm not very familiar with the Freemasons. Growing up as a child in North Burnaby, we had a Masonic Temple Lodge, whatever they call it, and I thought they were bricklayers. As a child, you just associate the words with the things you hear, right? So, but what is their function?
I believe the Masons, and people in chat might know this more than I do, is that I believe Masons are from medieval times, and they might be actually related to because it was the guild system, right? In Europe, there was a guild system, and Masons were architects, and it was hidden knowledge for all intents and purposes. And so I believe that James Tobin Templeman says his grandfather was a Mason. So there's like this kind of secret society built around Masons, and then it just became generalized into a doing good for society. Are there secret rituals? Yeah, they're kind of like some rituals. I believe you have to believe in a greater power to be a Mason, but I do definitely know that they've been the target of conspiracy theorists from like the John Birch Society, and I believe the Klan and other crazy right-wing organizations.
So it is semi-religious?
I believe that there are religious overtones. Yeah, I believe George Washington was a Mason. A fair amount of the founding fathers were Masons. And it's basically now it is a place it's like a charitable organization. It's a place where you can socialize and network with other people, trying to help the world be a better place.
Yeah.
See, now that's what I thought. Tobin Templeman from the chat says you have to believe in God to be a Mason. That's what I thought too, and that's why I did not join. I thought about being a Mason when I was in my 30s, and then I saw you have to believe in God, and I can't do that. I can't say I do when I don't.
I told you that I'm moving to a new place, and I was out there getting the carpets and everything sorted out yesterday, and one of the things that they left behind in the house was a picture that the previous tenant had on the wall. And now the person I'm renting from is what you would call obviously Muslim.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. There is no question this person is in that faith. Right. They left a print on I want to call it a slab of wood. It's not really a painting or a picture as we would know it. It's like a piece of wood with something acrylic onto it. And it says, "Praise God from whom all blessings flow." And I think they think because I'm white, I'm a Christian. And I don't want to upset the apple cart at this point, but the next time they come over, they will not see that picture in my home.
That's good. Yeah. I don't lead in with, "Hey, I'm an atheist, by the way, and I'm a big godless liberal." I don't start off with that. However, within 10 minutes, you pretty much know where I stand on a lot of things. If we're just doing like a free-form conversation, we're just talking just to talk, it's pretty clear where I stand after a couple of minutes on issues.
I usually tell people that I participate in online videos and chats and social media stuff, and I create a little bit of content myself. And they say, "Oh, what's it about?" And I always say secular humanism.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a better point to make. And if they ask how or why or what's the channel, they'll figure it out pretty quick.
Sure. For me, and I've said this many times before, because I don't have to worry about having a legitimate job, right? I don't have to worry about having a legitimate job because the jobs that I've had, they're just happy that I'm there. I do I do good work.
Hey, we're all happy that you're here.
Yeah, they appreciate me for being in the position, for doing this kind of work for like over 20 years. And I really don't talk about what I do on social media a whole lot. So I think that's one of the reasons, because I have a large degree of freedom of not just like freedom, but economic freedom too, is that I'm not addicted to my job. I mean, I need money. Don't get me wrong. I need all the cancer money I can get in case
cancer money you can shovel into the vault.
I can shovel into the vault before I flee. But I use the term atheist. I use the term atheist just because it helps destigmatize the word.
Oh, whenever I can, if I'm not at risk, like in the situation of renting a place, for sure, I'll throw that out. But
yeah. But if I was renting a place, I wouldn't be talking sex, politics, or religion with anyone, with my landlord. Yeah, because landlords can be crazy. I don't know what. I'm sure renters have more rights in Canada than they do in many parts here in the States.
It's very anyone in here who's Canadian. I don't know where Jesse's from, but anyone from Canada will know that the British Columbia Residential Tenancy Act leans hard towards the renters. Right now, because of COVID, there's a renters freeze on.
Yep.
And they've actually lowered the percentage of annual rent increases out here drastically. When it does come back, it'll only be, I think it's 1.4%, the maximum they can raise the rent.
That's so fascinating.
It really, really favors the renter, especially if you've been in a place for the long term, because they literally can't raise the rent to keep up with the cost of living.
I think that's there needs, because you go to like these major cities, right? Like Boston, LA, New York City, and the property values are crazy. Renters, just get priced out and they have to go out into the suburbs. And if you're working in the city, that means you have to do the long commute, right? You have to do this insane commute into the city. But to have a system where, let's say, rents are pegged to inflation, right? Something as simple as that. That seems fair.
Yeah, and like out here in Vancouver, the housing market is ridiculous. We had in the heart of Vancouver, in a great place to live. I mean, no kidding. It's a beautiful city and a great place to live. But there was a house that was a knockdown that had been full of homeless people for months, and they sold the place for $2.6 million.
That's
and there's and no word of a lie. There's an island that if you took one of the float planes that takes off, you can actually see the float planes take off in my camera if you look really, really close. But if you take one of them float planes and you fly about 10 minutes straight out towards Vancouver Island, there's an island for sale out there for less than $1 million. And it's like 5 acres or something. It's just a little island. But I was thinking Atheist Island.
So you're saying it's being sold for $1 million Canadian dollars.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like less than $1 million US dollars.
I think it was about, if I'm not mistaken, it was in the 800,000. So it would be somewhere in the 550, 600,000 US. Yeah.
Atheist Island. How is that not awesome? Right?
Yeah. Anyway, it's my clock is ticking away on me here. I was hoping Tobin would jump in with you here for a minute if he.
Well, that's okay. I'll talk to people in the chat and everything. And once again, I'm doing the show at 3 p.m. today. And also,
and if I'm working, I'll miss it. I'm sorry.
Jenga's back because I can't
wait. Sorry, I can't wait to see Jenga with a cat in the house. That's going to be fantastic.
Well, we are working towards the cat, but I definitely got the tripod yesterday, so I'm pretty happy. Hey, Blazing, how's it going? So, Dave, thanks for popping in, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always a blast talking with you, and thanks for doing that article on the local thing on the Masons. That was it's been a weird week out here with the stabbing and then the arson and all that.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that the Masons have been targeted by these far right groups here in the States, and I thought it'd be a good chance to open that up for conversation.
Awesome. Well, have a great day.
Take care.
If I don't see you at 3, I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Cheers, everybody. All right, so there's Dave. Let's see some really funny stuff here. Brainbug's going. You don't go into a deep dive into Southern sodomy laws with your landlord. Are you even living your life? Apparently, I'm not. I'm not living my life properly. God is an unnecessary appendix. This is true. I don't even think God was ever necessary, really, to digest really rough plants. To tell you the truth, at any point, because that's what the appendix was supposedly there for, right? The appendix, from what I understand, was there as to help digestion of really rough plant matter. All right. I'm just going to touch base with you guys. Well, gentrification, there's a lot of similarities between ethnic cleansing and gentrification. There's no doubt about that. A couple of other really cool comments. Oh, yeah. Theo points out that Freemasons, Skull and Bones, Rotary Club, a lot of the time, they're just arrogant men trying to feel important. And networking, right? Men just people trying to get more authority and pay. Oh, this is interesting. I was a stone mason for 40 years and a stoned mason also. Very well said, John Hudson. Well, here it is. Jesse Beer says, the people I've spoken to have left Masons because they are no longer religious. They didn't tell me the handshakes. Yes, there are secret handshakes. They confirmed it's nothing crazy like the History Channel will make you believe. Yeah. Being part of a fraternity. I was part of a fraternity when I was in college. Let me explain why I was in a fraternity. A buddy of mine was trying to get Theta Chi, a chapter of Theta Chi off the ground at the university I went to. Hey, Tobin Templeman. What's up, man?
Morning.
Hey, I see you got a hat on.
Yeah, man, it is wild under there. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw it on top.
That's wise. I used to I would just wear a hat in the morning and I wouldn't have to do anything with this. But now it's like, oh, man, I might as well just throw some, because sometimes I lose my hat, to tell you the truth. I have two hats and I lose my hats in the house. So I just thought I would just do this instead. So what have you been up to, man?
Oh, man, just been enjoying the show. And
good.
That is a trip with them burning down Masonic lodges. There's some people out there who have some like real fears of the Masons, and it blows me away because like I've been inside of these places. I've talked with Masons. They're just dads. They're just family men.
Yeah. They're just everyday guys for all intents and purposes. Some of them just working guys. Other people are just entrepreneurs or small business owners. But are they part of a worldwide conspiracy to hurt Jesus? No, no, they're not. No, hey, here it is. Theo says, Tobin, where's the sign of the monarchy of Hyrule, the three force? Masons. It's so weird about what people are really inventive when it comes to what are we going to hate people about? Let's figure out new ways to hate people or new reasons why to hate people. And it's difficult to keep up with the old reasons with the new reasons at the same time.
Yeah. Or they start morphing them into it. Like back whenever I was in high school, it was about like the Bilderbergs and the there's another name. George Soros was one of those people. Like back in high school, where there was this conspiracy theory that all the elites are. There's just a few people who are actually controlling the world. I really don't think that anymore. Like I really see it. There's a shitload of people. There's a bunch of different organizations. Everyone's trying to push their agenda, and it's going to go in the direction of who has the harder push. And that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. It is the nature of our species to form up these little tribes, these little groups, and just bap into just try to take each other's stuff. It's unfortunate, and capitalism, of course, just makes that tendency worse to want to get other people's stuff. Let's see. There's a interesting, I think Blazing in the chat says, I'm sorry to say, but just like how the KKK infiltrated the police, so did the Freemasons. I was offered to become a Mason from the father of my then girlfriend, who was the police chief. Interesting. Yeah, no one ever, you might find this surprising, everyone, but no one ever came up to me outside of that one time in college about going into a fraternity. No one's ever said, Andy Hall, you need to be part of our legitimate societal, group, our club. It's like, we need you. Yeah, no one. I've been on, a couple of cults have tried to rope me in. Sure, a couple of cults have. Have you ever been roped in, or has anyone ever tried to rope you into a cult, Tobin?
They got my mom.
Oh, yeah. They got, wow.
Yeah, which, in turn kind of got me sucked into it. Yeah. I'm one of those children from the Jehovah's Witnesses. I used to go knock on your door and be like, here, would you like to read the Watchtower?
Right. That must have been difficult, because if you're a kid, you're gonna be knocking on, like, for when I was a kid. I grew up Baptist, but I remember seeing one of my buddies from school, who I didn't know was Jehovah's Witness, and actually he was able to draw naked women really well. This is like in elementary school. This kid was able to draw naked women really well, and one day he just shows up at my door with his mom, and talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, the whole spiel, right? And I'm like, this seems odd. This seems odd. Kid. You're the kid who does that. But I'm not a snitch. I'm not going to be like, love your artwork with the titties. When I moved into this old house I was living with, I was married at the time. We just moved into this house built in the 1850s. It had a dirt basement to it. And I was working down there in Jehovah's Witnesses. And I had a pit bull Rottweiler dog too. It was a mix. It was a Rottie pit bull mix too.
Whoa.
I'm going to sound like every other dog owner who had a dog like that. It was a great dog, though. But it did like to bark, and it did scare people. Never bit anyone. The kids were fine with it, and kids were able to ride it and do all kinds of things. But it was a scary looking dog. So there were Jehovah's Witnesses that came up to my back door, and that's where the dog lived. The dog was hanging out there. And so I come up, and I looked like maybe something from, I don't know, Silence of the Lambs. I was just had my hair all crazy, and I was dirty because I was working downstairs, and there was a dirt floor down there. And the dog's barking, and I see these two women, and they want to talk about, I don't know, the Watchtower, right? Jesus and everything. And I'm like, sure, come on in. I'll talk with you. The dog's like, the dog's barking. I'm looking like a crazy white man. And they're like, no, thank you. Just gave me their stuff and just walked away. Never came back either. Never came back.
I'm really talkative with them. I'll offer them a seat. I'll give them some water, bottled water and stuff like that. And I will talk their fucking ear off. And they don't come up. I haven't had one come over here in a long time.
So that's the secret, huh? That's the secret, is just to invite them in and just talk and talk and talk.
Keep them going. Like, yeah.
So what do you say? What kind of conversations do you have with the Jehovah's Witnesses?
Oh, I make them question it. I try my damnedest. I do it to Mormons too, every time. Yeah. I have a connection to Mormons too. I come from a big family, and that's what kind of made it to where I didn't believe at like once I hit my teens, I was like, there's something up with this stuff, and it's not right. There's something wrong with it. I had so many family members in different churches. I was like, okay, well, which one's right?
Yeah. I think that Mormons don't talk to me because I look so excited when they come by. It's like, oh, Mormons can, or I just have maybe a glint in my eye. Like, I really want to talk about Kolob, and I really want to talk about underwear, and I really want to talk about, your post-life plan about becoming a god. That's gravy for me. If I could get someone talking about that, I would love that. Blazing asked me if I ever watch Black Books. So I know what Black Books are. It's a British comedy show. I have been trying to find Black Books on cable, Black Books, and I have seen an episode or two, but it isn't on BritBox, Blazing. And so actually, I was going to binge through the entire, Black Books episodes with my girlfriend, but I couldn't find it. I don't know where it is.
I haven't seen that. I'm unaware of that, but I'm making a note of it right now.
It's one of the more obscure British comedy shows. I will say that the girlfriend and I, we did binge through all of the Blackadder episodes, like 4 seasons worth of Blackadder. Hey, Dragons and Genesis. How you doing, sir? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so what am I watching? I'm watching Cowboy Bebop. That's what I'm doing. I'm watching. That's the show that my girlfriend and I are binging through right now. An anime show from like 1998, which is very enjoyable, I will have to say.
I've seen it a little bit here and there. It was on Cartoon Network for a period of time.
Right. It was at like 1 o'clock in the morning, which made it awesome. Right. It was on Toonami, and it's like on late at night, and you're flicking through the channels because you can't get any sleep, or maybe you've done too much drinking, or maybe you have that cup of coffee that way too late, and then you're like, oh, there it is, Cowboy Bebop, and with that great soundtrack in the opening, and yeah, a very musical show. Dr. Osiris says, "Hey, what have I missed? What has Dr. Osiris missed? Everything? Some things? Nothing? All of the above." Just hanging out, man, with Tobin.
A little bit of that.
Yeah. A little bit of everything. Yeah. I got, when I was, and I've told this story before about how the Moonies tried to rope me in when I was like 18 years old. I looked young and stupid. And did I tell you that story, Tobin? Have you heard that story?
Yes.
Okay.
Where there was a girlfriend that you were fond of?
Yeah. She well, that was the other cult story, I guess. It's people are like, wow, Andy, your dating life has gotten you into a lot of trouble. Or yes, it has. It has gotten me into some trouble. So my ex-girlfriend was part of Earhart's seminar training, which is now called the Forum. But when I was in London back in, I was backpacking, and I was just walking down the street, and this beautiful woman just started chatting me up. And I was too stupid, Tobin, not to know that it was a trap. Because it was a trap. She's like, we're talking. She's like, you want to come down to the coffee shop? It's like, yeah, I'll come down to the coffee shop with you. Turned out to be a Mooney. And I crap you not, her, and once we were talking for a while, it turned out her husband was a black belt in karate. So it's like, oh, I'm not getting laid. I'm not getting laid. And this has just been a trap to get me to talk about religion, or for them to brainwash me, or to attempt to brainwash me. So yeah. Surprisingly, my penis has gotten me into trouble in the past. Who would have thought?
The cult I've been researching here recently is Children of God, and they actually used their women. They told their women to go out and go get men and sleep with them and bring them into the fold. That was their whole way of passing the word of Jesus.
What was that called? Was that called flirty evangelism?
Fishing.
Well, what was it?
Flirty fishing.
Flirty fishing.
Yeah.
How about that, huh? Flirty fishing. That's what Jesse Bear says. Yeah, flirty fishing. Yeah. So they would just send out these young women out into the community and just talk to young men.
No, they did more than talk.
So to use, I don't know a lot of American Sign Language, but I know what this means. And you can guess what that means too. It doesn't take two, flirty fishing. Right. So I don't know, man. I don't know if. Yeah, because it was a cult, right? Obviously, it was a cult with bizarre beliefs and everything.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. And what was the name of the cult? What was the name of the group?
Children of God.
Children
but
of God.
They're now called Family International, and it's still going right now. They still have their group.
Well, I imagine if you're doing flirty fishing, you're going to have a lot of family. You're going to have a lot of family members, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse Bear says Children of God is still around. Dragons of Genesis says there have been some crazy Christian sex cults in the first few centuries of the religion. I can see that. Getting closer to God, right? Getting closer to God with your genitals.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
I remember hearing that Dr. Richard Price, I believe that's his name, was talking about the Jehovah Witness version or translation of the Bible, and he speaks highly of it. Says it's not a bad translation. And from what I understand, Jehovah's Witnesses are monotheists. They're monotheists, so that they don't believe God is in the Trinity. And so, as against to regular Christianity, which is polytheistic monotheism. But if you believe in a man rising up from the dead in 3 days, then polytheist monotheism makes all the sense in the world. All the sense.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling. That one, trying to wrap my head around that.
Robert Price, thank you. Dragons and Genesis. Yeah, Robert Price was saying that the Jehovah Witness version of the Bible is a good translation. I was explaining it to my kid because my kids are both atheists. I was explaining it to my youngest, 15-year-old, about what Good Friday is, what Easter is, and then so Jesus rose from the dead on Sunday supposedly, but he also hung out and partied with his friends. Not party, but he hung out with a bunch of people, right, for a bit of him. And before he ascended up into heaven. And she's like, yeah, of course he did. Of course. It's like, how do people believe that? That's a very good question. How do adults did some Dragons and Genesis. I've watched through some of your recent, part of the recent video you had with Richard Carrier. And even though I don't like Richard Carrier as a person, and you know what, I have no problem saying that because I don't think he's going to sue me for that. But I've gotten to appreciate him as an academic. And so that's part of my personal journey. Even though I don't like a person, I can still appreciate their work. This is personal growth for Andy Hall. But some recent videos with Robert Price, that sounds exciting. He's always interesting to listen to, Robert Price. He was also on a documentary on Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft, which was pretty cool too. Had interesting things to say about Lovecraft.
Yeah. Who was that? It was Justin from the EA show, the Empathetic Atheist. That was actually something they were talking about last night, was about that whole the empty tomb thing, and like there's Bible passages that say the women didn't say anything, and then there's another passage that says no, Mary did go and tell people. So he was pointing out the contradiction of they didn't go tell anybody versus they did go tell somebody, and it says both inside of there. And I
Yeah.
thought that was a really good point.
There is a lot, or there are a lot of contradictions, just like there are for the birth of Jesus, right? Between the two gospels that talk about it, there's a lot of differences in the stories about the crucifixion and the resurrection in each one of the gospels. I think in two of the gospels, Jesus is like saying, why have you forsaken me, Jesus, of God, the Father, Yahweh? And I think in Luke, it's Jesus is just like, oh, it's done. Or maybe that's in John. I forget which gospel that's in. So yeah, there's a lot of variation in exactly what goes. Like in one variation, in one gospel, both of the men who are crucified with Jesus are like riffing on him, making fun of him. And then in another version, another gospel, one of them's making fun of him while the other one is saying, hey, Jesus, I believe in you. You're a great guy. So the gospels, they just don't agree with what actually goes on in the stories. Now, this is interesting. Dragons in Genesis says everything after Mark 6:18 or 16:8, when the women flee the tomb, was added centuries later. Yeah, because Mark, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dragons in Genesis in chat, that's the oldest book of the Gospels. That's the oldest book in terms of the Gospels, and I can see that. It's like we got to put something on here. Right? The whole Gospel of Mark just can't end with women fleeing. There has to be something more interesting going on. So we'll just tack on stuff.
It's mind-boggling. It really is. Like I really do. I want to do so much more for our community. I would like to start talking, getting more conversations going with some of these people. I try to have good, cordial conversations online with theists, but I want to do more than that.
Yeah.
I
understand.
So silly. We could, the quality of life could be so much better if we were a little more science-minded, a little more not so damn naive and gullible.
Yeah. Well, what made a really big impression on me when I was watching Cosmos, Carl Sagan's Cosmos back in the early 80s, I think it was 83 when it came out. And I think he made the observation of, gosh, guess what? If the Dark Ages never happened, we'd be out at the stars at this point. We would be far beyond our planet. And that made a big impression on me when I was like maybe 10 years old. I think I was 10 years old when Cosmos came out. That made a big impression on me. Dragons in Genesis says, when later Gospels added post-resurrection scenes, it made Mark seem incomplete. Right, so I could see that. So scribes invented new endings for it. I had this epiphany last night, and this is going to be an anime geek epiphany. So just for those of you who have ever seen Evangelion, it was a anime from the 90s, and those of you who know what I'm talking about, the little light bulbs. But so I was walking home. I was just listening. I was off for my evening walk, and I was listening to Mike Weissman's podcast, The Bible Says What. He's coming on the channel tomorrow night at 8 to talk about his book. But then as I was about to enter the house, it's like that anime, Evangelion, is really like fan fiction, Judeo-Christian fan fiction. And like a modern day, it could be a whole nother book of the Bible, I guess, an alternative like book of the Bible. And that was like, wow, giant robots. How cool would it be if there were giant robots in the Bible? Right.
I think it would have kept my attention a little bit longer.
Well, it would have been. Yeah, giant robots. And I'm not even going to start talking about Mecha Godzilla right now because I'm a little fixated on it. And I spent way too much time on the first show to talk about my fixation on Mecha Godzilla. But I am really excited about that. What do you do? What's everyone doing for Zombie Day on Sunday? Is anyone doing anything special for Zombie Day? I have my kids coming over. Well, one of my kids is already over. My oldest is coming over. We're just going to do breakfast, make fun of Jesus probably, right? And that's what we would do. Oh, dragon. Oh, Neon Genesis. See, he knows the whole, right. Leans heavy on these strange, right. They have the Kabbalistic tree of life in the intro. See, this is why geekdom is like autism, right? You get one person who's really into it, another person who's really into it, and they're like, yeah, that's like magic. Yeah, Neon Genesis Evangelion. My youngest got me into that series. And yeah, strange Jewish ideas, dude. If anyone wants to like spend some time watching some classic anime at this point with weird this weird exploration or of Jewish ideas, Kabbalistic ideas, that is an anime to check out.
I've missed that one, but I took note of it. I am going to check it out.
I wouldn't have picked it up unless my kids, this is the benefit about having kids, right? Is that they at least reconnect you into the zeitgeist about, what you might have missed as you were adulting and doing things like loser things like working, right? And having a life.
I feel that way so much. People talk about so many different movies and shows, and they're like, you didn't see this? And,
Yeah.
It's not that I don't like movies and TV. It's not. It's just.
Well, it's about how you're going to spend your time. As you get older, you realize that the most precious thing you have is time, right? The most precious thing you have, commodity that you have, is time. So how am I going to spend my time? And you start, and we always make choices about how we spend our time. But like I said, as you get older, you realize that the most precious commodity that you have is time. So how am I going to spend my time? Like there was a dude, I was just seeing this yesterday. A dude got the Guinness Book of World Records for watching Avengers Endgame 193 times in the movie theater. So, and he was a younger guy, of course, right? So he could afford the time to go and watch Avengers Endgame twice a day. I think maybe 3 times over the weekend. And so, yeah, I know, right, dude? Me, I could not do that. I not at this point in my life. Yeah, didn't go off and watch Avengers Endgame 194 times to get the record.
Yeah, some of those, like, I don't get it. Why is that special? I'm not sure.
I don't know either. I liked Avengers Endgame. I think, I'll make it. I'll admit something right here. I watched Roger Rabbit 7 times in the movie theater because Roger Rabbit is a groundbreaking film. Thank you very much. I saw it 7 times in the theater, and I'm willing to defend that. And even though Avengers Endgame is a nice movie, it's a solid movie. I would not see that film 7 times in the theater. No, not at all.
Yeah, some goals people have, it is pretty strange. Like Nitro Circus, the guys who like are riding motorbikes and doing incredible, like they're doing stuff now that is just no kid on a dirt bike out in the country could be doing any of these type of things. I mean, it is how you wake up in the day and go, I'm going to jump a bike that's going to go, 50 feet through the air before I land, and it's going to be the highest jump height, and all, like, it blows my mind. I'm like, how do you get to that point?
I think, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but with a lot of testosterone.
You know, that does make sense.
A lot of testosterone. For me, I spend a lot of time just thinking of crappy jokes, and a lot of people are like, how can you spend your time thinking about a lot of crappy jokes or Mecha Godzilla? But that's just how, that's how just minds work, right? That's just how certain minds work. It's weird, but yeah, some people just wake up thinking, I'm going to jump that bike 50 feet into the air, and I don't even care if I land. I don't even care if I land.
And that the times they eat there, I mean, whew.
Yeah,
it can get pretty bad.
Yeah, for me personally, because like I said, I have this minor disability. So if anything, I've always been cautious about doing stuff physically. And the times that I have been a little bit more radical, with my choices, that's how I broke my leg when I was in third grade, because I decided to go on the monkey bars of all things and act daredevilish, and that's how I snapped my tibia. So, but for people who are healthy and athletic, I mean, I can definitely see why they would want to do things like that. Sure.
It's all about how you want to spend your time. What's fun for you, huh?
Exactly. So Jesse Bear says, my kids are young. So eggs and candy, that's what you're doing on Sunday. Yeah, we talk about the history of different celebrations of spring. Might do a color part. Oh, that's interesting. Then you have friends.
I do enjoy hiding the eggs and letting the kids find them. That is kind of fun. See how hard I can get them.
When my kids were young, we would do the Easter egg hunt and everything too. And especially at the grandparents' house. They always enjoyed. Yeah, the grandparents liked hiding the eggs, and the kids always loved like hunting for them. And who doesn't like eating chocolate or stealing your kids' chocolate, right? They're young. They're not going to miss all that chocolate. If you just kind of skim a little off the top on Easter and Halloween, right? They're not going to notice.
I used to really like dipping into their sacks of candy until one day it pulled out one of my fillings.
Oh, no. That's not good. That's not good, dude. Well, James Henry, I want you. You want to send me 10 euros? I want you to send me 10 euros too. I'm not going to argue with that. If you're in the position, of course, to do so.
That's one thing I really want to start doing. I've actually also become a member of the ACA, and another one I really want to donate to is FFRF, the Freedom from Religion Foundation. I want to invest in our community. I know that's the only way we're going to grow and be able to, be in opposition, really.
Yeah. Well, that, you raise interesting points. I talk about Dale McGowan every once in a while, and he started off, and I forget the name of the charity. But he, that was one of the things that we need to do as a community, is to create institutions and to fund those institutions, because, the other side does that. They have churches, and we don't have anything close as that kind of organizing, that way to organize ourselves. And there were Sunday assemblies. People tried to do Sunday assemblies. I don't think that's a thing anymore. That was like maybe 10 years ago, maybe. The Humanist Hub here in Boston imploded. So it is difficult just to run an organization in general. And it's difficult to run a secular organization, I think, because we just don't have that kind of that institution that the theists have. Well, Easter is best as a grandpa. Well, yeah, you know what's interesting, because I just my birth family connected with me a little while ago. It turns out, and I might have mentioned this before, that my people breed like rabbits. Not me, two kids, but everyone on my mom's side of the family breed like rabbits. Just a lot of kids, and that's one of the things. Talking about grandparents, I have set warnings now to my children. Be aware. We have a tendency to breed like rabbits. Make a mental note. Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped that too. I
Yeah. 2 is good.
I wanted to make sure, the quality of life that I could. I knew I wasn't ever, or it was most likely that I was not ever going to be like totally filthy rich,
Yep.
So, but even at that point, there's only so much time, if you have a whole bunch of kids, like actually trying to divvy up your time to actually, you know, interact with your kids, which I don't know about everybody else, but I had kids because, hey, I, I was interested. I wanted to have a buddy. I wanted to have a friend. I wanted
Yeah.
to have family later in life. I, I don't know, maybe just me, but I actually really wanted to hang out with them.
Sure.
And if you got a whole bunch of them, it's just
Well, I felt, just echoing on what you just said. I stopped it too, because one of the reasons is that, can I do the job effectively, right? Can I do, because part of parenting, it's a job, right? And can I dedicate as much time and effort as I need to? And some people, Jesse Beer says, had 3 and you wanted 4. But some people, it's like any other skill or any kind of characteristic. Some people are really motivated to have more children, and some people are just good at raising children. And I never said that I was good at it. I said I'm good enough. I was good enough at raising children, and my kids are doing okay. So yeah, but for me, 2 was a good number for me. And my mother's sister, my aunt, when I was growing up, that woman had 8 kids, dude. 8 kids. And things happen when you have 8 kids. There's like herds, and there's just, yeah. And they weren't rich people either. Religious people, very religious people, but they, yeah. I don't think I could parent 8 children effectively.
I'd probably
You think you need like a border collie?
A lot more lines and wrinkles.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And also, when you're having like a lot of kids, for me, I had kids within a certain timeline, so that when they got out of high school, I wouldn't be like an old person. Like some people, they're comfortable with being, retired with kids in the house. For me, I wanted to have, I'd be like when my daughter gets out of high school, I'll be 55 or so. I still have a good amount of time, hopefully, to enjoy, my kid being at college and me doing me, whatever that means.
Yeah, that was very similar to our agreement. We were kind of like, let's just get it over with, because we did talk about it, whether we should wait or not. And in the end, I wanted to be able to, be able
Yeah.
to run around with them and like really play around.
Right.
I had a lot more energy as, in my early 20s. Shit,
Yeah.
I'm still kicking. What am I talking about? I still got energy. But yeah, that was one reason why we decided to have kids at somewhat of an early age.
Sure. Well, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Dragon's Genesis. I remember Dragon's Genesis has been on the channel a couple of times, and I remember him saying that mom has 8 kids. 8 kids. Surprised that we all survived. Yep. Well, to tell you the truth, as a dude, I'm surprised. I didn't even do a lot of risk-taking stuff, but even the risky stuff I did between the ages of like maybe 16 and 25, I am surprised. I'm still here, above ground. I think for a lot of dudes, that's how it is. There's this age where maximum testosterone and the least amount of thinking that goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to ride around on skateboards and stuff, and I have come out very fortunate, with my hands and my legs. I have never really suffered a major break.
Good.
But
good for you.
I've had my spills. I have.
Yeah.
I totally ate concrete.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, let me try that. Let me taste it.
I did this stupid stuff. I did this idiotic move when I was in college. It was a snowstorm, and I thought, I'm just going to drive down with a buddy of mine, of course. I'm going to drive down to the Big Boy restaurant. It was a Big Boy restaurant down the highway, just down 1 or 2 exits, hang out with a few friends, and then drive back, right? So we're driving down, for those of you who are in Massachusetts, I'm driving down Route 24, just a regular highway, right? Snowy, really snowy. And I crap you not, I guess I tapped the brakes a little bit because the car in front of me, and the car's fishtails. So we are now become perpendicular. So basically covering 2 lanes of traffic. And it's like, oh, I could die right now because I wanted a burger. And to hang out with people. I'll thank my picture.
You don't even have to be doing anything that crazy.
You don't.
It can go just like that. Boom.
It just goes literally sideways. It could just go sideways.
Mm-hmm. I don't know nothing about driving in any of that stuff.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I'm not even going to talk to you about drag racing when I was a kid, because that was just stupid too. All kinds of stuff. Jesse Beer says, I was a tomboy as a kid. No big broken bones, good. But you had to have shoulder surgery at 27 to put all the soft tissue back together again. Yep. Yeah, I could see that.
I was working next to a guy inside of in this warehouse, and we had to move these big containers. They're very big, but they were light enough to where you could pick them up and stack them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was waiting my turn. He was going to grab his, and then I was going to grab mine afterwards. And I watch him grab one, and he's throwing it up there, and you could see the muscle just like disengage. It just like went all loose. I was like, whoa, dude, what just happened? But to him, it had happened so many times to him. He did this move and got himself back together. And my jaw dropped. I was like, what the heck is going on? That's normal? What?
It might be normal, but I don't think it's good. It might be normal, but I don't think it's good at all. All right. We're closing in on an hour. I still got to do a blog post today for the blog. I don't know what I'm going to do. Write something crazy, and then I'll be back here to do Django at 3:00.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone in the chat for showing up. This has been a lot of fun. Tobin, thanks for showing up, brother.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
It's always fun talking with you. Like I said, I'm here at 3:00. I'm here tomorrow at 9, and blah, blah. We'll do it all over again. Thanks, everyone. Take care.